Good morning, traders. Welcome to the daily webinar. As promised, the entire week webinar that we do in our trading room that is recorded will be on YouTube. Today is the last day. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you do, and you've been watching it, I think there's about 1,000 views on every one of them. Some of them have about 800. I think by the end of the day, they get 1,000. So if you people who watch it like it, please share it to another 1,000 people, right? Make sure more people get to see it because I think this week has been amazing in our trading room. It has been. And we do more than one sessions a day. We do at least 3 or 4, sometimes 5, 6 sessions a day, depending on how often my traders are in there. I try to get in there as often as I can, right? If I'm not there, the room is still working. There's enough very successful trader in our group who manages the room without me. So if you're asking what the group does, right? So I do get those messages. What is your group? You talk about it. What do you guys do there in the trading room? We trade, basically. We look at trades, we take the trades, we discuss the trades, we manage the trades. When you're in a trade and you're tagged, you manage the trade and you decide what to do with the trade. So I'll try to explain some of that as I go along today. Right, it's Friday. I will be only doing the Forex today. So those who would want the crypto and the stocks, maybe in New York session, I'll do it because we do have a New York session. I'll record it during the New York session. You'll get to watch it. I would do it as a longer term one, not only for today, but maybe at the start of next week. So you can watch it if you trade crypto over the weekends. It might be interested for you. All right, let's go. Dollar index, as promised, this is still going up. We looked at it. We checked the possibility of this going up yesterday. You could have bought it. If you bought it, it broke the top, you would exit the trade here. Now, you wouldn't exit because it broke the top. You would exit because it dropped and it starts to consolidate here. That's your exit of the trade. Now, we do have rules and strategies of how we get into trade and how we exit them. We are not discussing the rules and strategies in here, but every now and then, if you listen very carefully, I do give hints on how we do that, right? So if you're following me very often and you're listening carefully, you would learn a thing or two. But remember, the most important thing you need to learn is identifying the patterns correctly, because if you don't get that right, the rest of it is really useless. Right? If you can't get the direction correct, then you're going to get yourself in trouble. So it's going up, it's coming back down. We did break the top. So the question you would ask, is it ready for the drop now? Is this ready for the drop now? I don't know that for sure. We're still in the consolidation zone, which means this could still consolidate here and work its way up some more. Would we buy it? If we get a very good risk to reward trade, we would. Right now, there isn't. Would we sell this if it's dropping? Well, if we get a really good flag, if I get a really good flag in here that I think not too big, good flag, and that is a question, what will be considered a good flag? We know. We will take the sell. We'll take the sell with the intentions that it could still be a consolidation here and go back up. See, that is what is important. If you understand that it could still possibly come here and go back up when you sell that, your management of the trade changes. Understanding the pattern depends on how you manage the trade. If I think it is going to drop totally, I would manage the trade differently. So all would depends on how this consolidation happens. Actually, if it consolidates and go back to the top, we wouldn't even be selling it. We let it come here and then we're buying it. So a lot depends on what happens next. It's still going to be consolidation, right? Remember those buys. If you were there, you would remember them, right? So go back to silver now. Silver is going up. This is the buy in silver. I think I might have mentioned it in the webinar. I'm not sure, but we did it in our trading room where we look at this up move and it did make a pullback here and a pullback here and it goes. So my traders are warned that if you take this trade, manage it very, very carefully, which means you're not going to stay with the trade. You're going to close it once you think that, it's going to turn, right? And that means you'll go into 15 minutes or something. And I think the instructions I give was go into 15 minutes. Anytime it stays sideways for whatever amount, I was going to give too much information, whatever amount, get the hell out of it because it's going to pull back. Now that it's pulled back, 2 things you're looking for. So this is the very important information for those of you who are not in my group, you would learn something here. 2 things you're looking for. A consolidation above the trend line. The trend line itself is irrelevant. The consolidation is important. That means we're totally going to go. Once we break out of this, that's a confirmation of the goal. So if we get this here, we will be going. It's not going to happen today. This would be next week. I don't know whether I'll give you the whole week next week or whether you'll just have one video, which is the weekly one. And that means you might not see me how we do that trade, but you saw how we did this, you saw how we did this, and you see how we did this. So you have an idea what we do. Now, what we're going to look for is what happens here now. So let's see. If this, it might, I do believe it's going to consolidate here the way it's going, and that means we'll be buying it. If it doesn't consolidate there, it has to make a flag right now. And I think it's already late for the flag, which means I'll be looking for a flag in here for the sell. That I think is not happening. Unlikely, not as yet. Because right now it's pulled back too deep. I'm looking for a flat and then a buy. Gold, same thing, same plan. You remember this trade and you remember this trade. This is where we bought gold yesterday. You buy it on above the last impulse, go back up, close the trade, right? The goal was the one where I tell them, get in the 15 minutes, close the trade because it's not going. And we do expect that when it does that, it is going to pull back. We anticipate that pullback because this move is finished. They're going to make a deeper correction. Right now, we had a sell setup here this morning. We're pulling that sell setup now. When we put the sell setup here this morning, we didn't have all of this, right? I think we didn't have, at least I was in 9 a.m. I think, yeah, we didn't have two of this, by the way. We had one of this. We had this and we had this one. So the chances are they could have dropped. That means we'll put the entry. Now that they consolidate here to go back up, I'll be looking for a flat here and then the upside. Right? I'm expecting them to make a flat at upside. Can I buy this one in here? So let's take this out now. Can I buy this in here? Yep, it's a buy setup, but there's a very high risk in that if you don't know how to manage it, which means I don't believe that this is all the consolidation. I believe that this could go here, probably pull back, maybe even a running flat, pull back here and then go. It might make more pullback. It might stay here much longer. And in that case, this would go nowhere. It will stay here. You'll have to manage and get the hell out of it. And then we'll see what happens, right? So if you're going to take this small flag, you have to know that it might go nowhere. And that means how will you get the hell out of it, or when will you get the hell out of it, so that you're not trapped in a trade that's coming lower. I don't think it's going to drop lower as yet. But if it stays there and start to come down without going back to the top of this impulse, right? If we stay here and start to come down, we will still consider the sell. That would change immediately. I'll still consider the sell. If it goes higher, and I believe because they are breaking out of this, they're probably going to go higher. Then we'll probably watch it come here and then go back up. We'll look for the buy. That is not going to happen today. That will be a trade for next week. This one, just ignore it and let it go. It did come down here, it go back up. If my traders took it, we didn't think we traded, but if you take it, you'll close it for a small loss because the consolidation was here. That is where you close it. And I don't think we're selling it. We're looking for the big trade to the downside. But if you did, it's a small loss. We'll wait for the next trade down. It's still going to come down. I don't think we've finished this consolidation here. I think it's unfinished. So we'll get one more here and then we'll go up. In any case, the reason we are following this is not for those trades. The reason we're following this is for this big move down, which would be this one. So we have to break out of this top, make a new high, and then start coming down. So let's see if we get that. So if you make 2 or 3 small trades, even if it's loss, it's not a big deal. Euro. So you saw what we did with Euro there. We also sold Euro yesterday. And we sold it in here, which is this piece. We sold it there. It dropped, it didn't go. Close the trade for break even, right? I told my traders close it there for break even. And if you close it for break even, you probably would have put an entry order here by rule. If you did, you should close it here again. But because it was late in New York when I left, I didn't think anybody would put that entry order on, so we'll take it off because I would not have put it on. I wouldn't be trading at that time, and I don't think a lot of you will be trading. So this probably happened without us. We close for break even, positive break even, but positive because we enter here, we close it here. That's not profit. Profit is this one. This is profit, right? That's a break even trade. It made a new low and we are going up. So this is what we're going to watch. We go back to the 4-hour. And the question now is, do we think this can still go back up here, make a new high and then come down? It is still going to come down, right? The only question is it going to make a new high and then come back? This is still a corrective structure. Or is it going to consolidate here and drop? Those are the only 2 questions you ask yourself right now. Is any of those 2 possible? I think both of them are possible. Now that both of them are possible, then what do? You wait for the setups. When you get the setups for a buy, we will buy. When we get the setups for a sell, we will sell. We don't have either right now. All we have is a single move up. When we get the setup for a buy, and that is possible, we could get the setup for a buy today, we will buy it. The setup for a sell is not going to happen today because you only have one move up. The sell will have to come back here, go back up there. That will take about a day or two before you get the sell setup. But the buy setup is possible we can get today, which means if we get a flag here today, we're going to be buying this back to the top. It might just do this and come back here, but that's okay. We'll manage it. But if it does go back to the top, we will be in the trade. Yeah, so we bought this yesterday. That was a close because once it break this top, we knew the risk in this trade. I think I might have mentioned if you have the ability to close that trade for break even, only then you take it. Go back, watch the webinar because this is 1, this is 2, and this was going to break the top. It might or might not go higher, but then the chances is going to come down because it's a sell setup. We were not looking for a big buy. So if you go back, watch the webinar, every now and then you'll hear me say, if you have the skill level to get out of this when it breaks the top and turn, only then you take that trade. Some of my traders take it and you don't take it in the 1 hour. By rule, you should take it in a much lower time frame. That means you get out of there, call it a break-even trade because it didn't go as far as you probably would expect, right? It's dropped. We're getting a sell setup. And like all of them, we have an entry here, but I think this might be a little too early entry, but we're putting it for one reason. It might drop. I'm not going to go into details why we think it could drop from that point, but it could drop. So you have got a 1, 2, 3, and this is a consolidation. It might consolidate here more too. It might stay here a while more. It doesn't matter if it stays. We'll look at the pattern and we'll decide where the entry should go for the sell. Right? It's a sell setup at this moment. Aussie, we didn't get the buy. We were waiting for a buy. We didn't get a setup for the buy to go up. It actually went up a little without us. Now it's coming back down, and that is good because the big picture is still downside. Right? The big picture has not changed. It's still downside. So we're getting a flag here, and that is good news because now we'll put an entry for a sell under the flag, and then we'll wait and see what that does. If that goes up higher, it means we're getting a much bigger correction before we drop, right? Because this still becomes a first impulse down. So instead of a small one here and a small one here, you're getting a pretty deep one here, which is not very nice for a big move to the downside. It means that the downside might be very, very, very slow. If it goes, if they go back up to the top, we'll see what pattern. We don't have a buy setup. We're looking for a sell setup. So it's still a sell, and let's see if we get it. Then entry or under the low, that's a good flag, right? If that starts to break, we take it. We take the trade. If it goes up much higher like this, we don't have a buy setup. We'll skip it. New Zealand. So New Zealand yesterday in our trading room, again, some of my traders took this trade, very aggressive, also to break this top. So once this trade go here, you have to manage your way out of it if it doesn't go, right? The bigger picture was 1, 2, 3, then sell. Now, there wasn't a sell setup here. I don't see it. I looked in the 15, I don't see a sell setup. There was no sell setup, not on the hourly, not on the 15 that I would have taken. The first sell setup probably got when they break this low, but we're getting it set up here now. So we've got to move up. We're getting a flag here. I think this is going to work its way up here. We might get a flag like this, and then we'll be looking for a sell. Can you buy this for the upside? No, you shouldn't buy it for the upside because we broke out of the structure, but we haven't broken the lows yet. Now, if that means anything to you, you understand a little about wave analysis. If that doesn't mean anything to you, you need to learn wave analysis. We broke out of the structure, but we haven't broken the low, which means that it could still go right back up. But we can't buy it. We have to wait for a clear setup to buy it. Right? We don't have a buy setup. We have a sell setup. So now we'll be expecting this to break the low, consolidate here, and then break this low. This is the trade we're going for. And then we'll see what happens from there, how low it goes, where it stopped. The bigger picture in the daily, if you haven't seen it, go watch the first webinar I did this year, is upside. The bigger daily structure is upside, but we're coming down. This structure eventually goes up. This is what it looks like. An impulse here, and we're correcting downwards. Now, there is one possibility, and we looked at that in our trading room, is that it might come down like this. And if this really gets very aggressive, we might retest the low. If we think that this here is a running flat or an expanding flat, depends on where you take it from, right? If you look at that as a running or expanding flat with all of this in the middle here being the B wave, then this could literally drop like this and start making smaller flags and drop, retest this low before they go back up. So do you want the sell? If you know that that possibility exists, do you want the sell? That's the question, right? So take the sell and manage the trade if it's not doing that. Now, I'm not sure they're doing that. We can't confirm they're doing that for many reasons. We can't go through all the reasons in here. We do those things in our trading room. And one of them is the way it's coming down. That is one of the reasons. You notice when they start to drop, I'll just show you. If you look at this impulse down, you don't have it like this. You have it straight. Look at that impulse down, right? You don't get it looking like this. When it looks like this, it's a correction. When it looks like this, is most likely, most often, it is a correction. Now, sometimes impulse do start slow and then they drop. So yes, if this starts to drop here, we will consider that this is a slow start of the impulse. As of now, you have to treat it as if it is a correction until structurally change. But can you sell this? Absolutely. So that was from the daily, right back to the 1 hour, sell it, right? And then we will see. That is what we will do, not what you should do. We will sell it and then we'll manage the trade. Yes, yeah. We're looking for the buy. Yesterday, some of my traders, again, aggressive traders, would have been in the sell and they probably would have closed it for break even because by rule, you close that trade. It didn't go the way we expected to go. We were selling this flag and that didn't go. It did break the low. And once it started pulling back, you would get the hell out of that trade. So you probably wouldn't get this piece. And that is okay. That's the right thing to do. Now we're going to look for what this is doing. We came back all the way to the low. That's not what I expected to do. Right? I wasn't expecting this to come back to the low. I was expecting it to break out from here and go, which means that would have confirmed that this is the running flat. Now, sometimes they do come back low and they go, but if you come back that low and you go, if you make a bigger flat like this here, see this big flat here? And then you go up and you make another one here, and then you go up and you make this one. And if we decide that this is not the flat, and you put all of that to be one big running flat, which is what we end up doing because it started with this flat, but then this piece becomes all of this, and you make a sharp one here, you could go with a big running flat there. Then what happens is that you get 1, 2, and this happens. Most times you're expecting it to do this when you see that. That happens. So we would watch here to see if they're repeating this pattern, which means this goes back up. We will look for this buy. And then we'll see if it starts to do this. If it starts to do this, it could go there. And when it goes there, there's chance or it will come back on one more because these are the impulses. This is still the correction, except that in this correction, the C wave went much higher than we expected. I was thinking the C wave would only break the top and drop. That's how it does classically, how they behave. This is rare, right? But it still became, we still knew we were going to get this sharp wave, and which was, we got it. Now, is that all the sharp wave, or is it going to go more up and down? We'll see. In time, they will break the top. In time, they'll break this top. I don't think this is the top, and I don't think we're dropping. Now, what might change that for me? Well, let's see if this comes here. Make a flat. We will sell this down because it is going to go back down one more, especially if you get a flat pattern that shows you sell setup here. If it continues to go up, it will probably make this go there, come back here, and then probably go. So it'll be more like you're making a bigger running flat or you're channeling your way up. Right? Sometimes that happens, and then we'll go back up. But from this point, if it drops from this point without going up, if they come here and drop from this point, well, great. We'll be in the sell. We'll relook to see whether we have anything for that. I don't think we do, but we'll sell and we'll see how low that goes. Would it be a three-wave structure in an expanding flat rather than a running flat? Well, that could be possible because there's still a possibility they're going to break this stuff. Rarely it will stop here and go as a contracting flat. That means 1, 2, 3, not breaking the top and going down. That's a rare pattern. So I never make a forecast on a pattern like that until it has confirmation. Because it's rare, if you try to forecast it, you'll force yourself to do the wrong trades. Now, while I'm on this, and I just explained all of that, one trader wrote in a comment, he said, okay, this thing looks good, but it's very, very hard. It is not. It is as simple as this. Let me show you how simple it is. Today's Friday. I think I could take some time of your time to explain. It is simple as 1, 2, 3. And I would show you that pattern in any chart, anytime, all the time. Now, what makes it complex? Because it's not only one piece. You could have 10 pieces, 15 pieces, 100 pieces of those. And because every time frame you go and you will see exactly the same thing. This is like the atom or the molecule or whatever you want to call it of trading of the charts, right? It happens everywhere on every chart on all time frame. You will see this on the daily, you will see it on the monthly, you will see it on the hourly, you will see it on the 1 minute, and it's going to look exactly like this with a few variations. The question is, when you start combining them together, it's like a Lego. I think most of you play with Lego. You fix them together to make something. And as you're fixing the pieces together, they will tell you what you eventually get. Now that is what makes it complex, not complicated, but complex. From a simple 1, 2, 3 to a complex 1, 2, 3. And this is why traders think it's difficult. It is not, because the way I show you how patterns work. Now, I'm not doing that stuff you would see Elliott wavers do. They will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to have 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go back. And you look at this 1, 2, 3, and you start to see this. And you're thinking, wait a second. You just told me we're going to have 1, 2, 3, and now we have 1 million in here. How the hell you just told me 1, 2, 3, and now we're going to go up? Right? You're supposed to only have 1, 2, 3 ABC, and that's it. And now you have 1 million of them in there. That's the difference of how we look at pattern. We don't look at pattern as if it has to make this. The chart it's moving the way it's moving. Our job is to read what pattern is making. Forecast, like if you have this, if you have one block and you have a second block here and you have a third block here, you can make a forecast that the possibility is you're going to have a fourth block here. So we are trying to look at patterns that we know, because we have seen these patterns, you have seen these shapes and patterns in the past, and you're looking at the one you have now, and you're trying to say, okay, what is this one doing right now? And what is the probability of what it can do? And if it is going to do that, then what am I going to do? See, that's all. If I was looking for a buy here, and this is the breakout to the upside, I did not get the buy. And we didn't sell anything in here until it did this. It was the first sell we saw was here, because we got a sell setup that has potential. That was the first sell. By then, we realized that this could drop to make the running flat. Again, it's the same thing. We're not selling this except for that small sell, which is breaking. We're looking for a buy. This buy could take it off like that. It could go like this, or it could just stop here and go back down. Those are the three possibilities if it goes. If it doesn't go, we'll not get a trade. But if it goes up and it gives us a buy setup and we take the trade, those are the possibilities. Now you have to know those possibilities. You have to know how it can develop and know how to manage it. It's that simple. It's not as difficult as the guy thought. We have traders who are doing this massive art of it. Now it looks difficult. Once you start breaking it up and explaining the pieces separate and simple and all the rules to go with it, you're going to learn it. It's not that difficult. CAD, let's go. Yeah, we're looking for the sell in the CAD. It's making a very nice flat here, which is good. That means we might get it to come to this level, and it's going to make a 1, 2, 3. Like I said, it's a 1, it's a 2, it's a 3. Can it do this and do this and do this and do this and then go? Yeah, sure. That is why from here we were expecting it to come back down, and once it's come down here, from here we'll expect it to go back up. Is it a 1, 2, 3 like this? Here's another thing that will confuse you a little. Is this 1, 2, 3, and this one is going down? What do you care? Let's assume it's doing that. What do you care? You're selling here. So when you're selling here, this is not important to you. It's important when it gets here, is there a possibility for it to go back up? That's what is important, because now you manage your trade with that expectation. Now there is a possibility for it to go back up. And if for you to understand that possibility, you have to go one step higher. You have to go to the weekly and the monthly chart. We're not going to do that here. And that is why when it comes here, we'll be very careful. Now we're looking for the sell. We don't have a sell setup. There is a small buy setup here. We're not taking that trade. That is this one. There's a small buy here. I'm not taking that trade. I'm not buying anything unless it's outside of here and consolidating. So if it comes here and drop, we'll look for a sell setup here to the downside. That may or may not happen today because we'll see. The day is still early. It may or may not happen. We might get the sell today. We might not get it today. We do have an entry for a sell here. That is if the unexpected happens and it drops now. Contracting flat. We're not forecasting that. Swiss, we have an entry order for a sell. I do believe they can consolidate more high. Remember, this was going up. I was saying we're not buying this, we're only selling it. We sold it once, break even. We're waiting for a second entry to sell. If we get a flag here, we'll sell a flag. If not, we're having an entry under the low. Euro pound closed the trade yesterday. We had a trade, we closed it. That was a positive trade, by the way. It dropped. We're making something like a flat here. I'm not sure what this flat would look like because it could be that this was all a flat. It's all a flat here. This was the low and we're going up. Well, in that case, we will need a flat. We need another flat. We needed to break here. We need to make a big consolidation here and then we'll buy. For now, we're assuming that this could be an expanding flat and drop. That's the assumption. So we will wait on this and see. You can see the way it's going now. You can see the divergence you have in here, which means at some point it is going to reverse, and it did break all the lows. We broke that low. Can it go back up again from here? Why not? They came down so many times and go back up. You can watch if they're doing this right now. If we're doing that right now, we can come right here and go right back up to the top. So we'll just wait and see what it's doing. No trade set up on this today. Euros making a flat, we'll look for the sell. So it made one up, it made one down, it's going back up. You might or might not get a buy here. That's a very short term. Same thing like I showed you in the pump. If you take this trade, you have to understand once it comes to the top here, if it starts to drop, you have to get the hell out of it. Right? Remember, I said will be a very short term. I don't think it's going to do that. If it does that, great. I'm wrong, and you'll be happy you're in the buy. But you have to take that buy if you have the ability to get out of the trade when it comes here and start to go back down. Like I showed you in the pump. If you're going to buy this one here, and the 1 hour, if you're going to buy this, once it go to that top and break the top and start a turn, you have to get out of the trade. If you don't have the ability, don't go to the euros and don't trade it because you don't have the ability to get out of the trade. Right? So we're going to look at this trade here. If we get a flag here, we're going for this top, and then we're expecting it to drop. Now, if it keeps going up, good, but I think it's going to drop just like this, right? See the small flag, drop, small flag, drop, small flag, drop. Come to the bottom, turn, do the same thing, go back up now. So we're looking for a buy here. Euro New Zealand, we're looking for a buy again, but I'm not buying at the top here. There's a good reason why we're not buying. Now we're not buying the Euro New Zealand there because of the way this structure looks, right? So we've got this down, and this is what it's looking like, right? Breaking this stop would make it a running flat that could come right back here and then go. So I'll let it go. Let it prove that this is not the running flat, that is the B part of a structure, but it's the start of the upside. It has to break the top, and any flag above the top would be the buy setup. Because of this structure, buying at the top here now is dangerous because all they can do is tag you there and come right back here and then go. That would be a running flat there. We'll see. So it has a far way to go. We were very long term on this. So I'll wait for it to actually make another flag and then get back into the buy. EuroCAD. Same here. If I get a flag here, we're buying. If it starts to drop, we will sell. So the only question is the low or is this part of a bigger flat? But if this is the low, you'll get a flag here, we're buying. If it starts to drop, we'll sell under the low, or we'll get a flag before that to sell. Euro Swiss. This was a sell setup. It didn't go. It kind of tagged you and make one up. Don't worry how many up they make before they come back. When they come back, close it. We had an entry here. We closed that. We had an entry here. We closed that. Normally after 2 entries, I don't put it, but we put this on this morning. So if you got tagged here, go there, pull back, close the trade and leave it alone. Because if they keep doing it, it's useless to trade it. Right? That's for my traders. You don't have to put any trade on. If you're looking at this, ignore this, let it finish what it's doing here. And then eventually it will probably tell us whether they're going to go back up, because I believe that is what can happen. I think this might be the first impulse. This might be the start of a correction, go back up. And we might be just close, consolidating in that range. So, but there's a chance to get break even there. You know how to exit the trade. Euro yen, we sold that yesterday. Actually, when I was in the room, we didn't break the top, so we had the entry here. The entry should have been here by rule. And if you sold that, now you can close it to the bottom here, right? It's kind of consolidated here for a couple hours. When I was in this morning, we were starting that consolidation. So I said, if they stay there, you close it. If not, wait for this to pull back a little, close the trade. We'll probably get another flat like this, or we'll get a flag for a buy. So it starts to make a flag for a buy. Close that trade, we'll go with the buy. It comes back here, close the trade. We'll wait for a flat and then we'll sell. So those are the two options you have right now. This pattern still looks upside. It doesn't mean we can't come back, make a new low, then go. We had that where they actually made this, come back here, make a new low, and then go. Expanding flat. We had one of that already in here. And I think we can go with that. You can take this whole piece here for the B wave, with an expanding flat in the middle. And then you've got this, you get this, you can get another expanding flat here. Drop again and then go back up, right? Pangos. Okay, we don't have anything on this, but it's going sideways. I'll take this off. We're expecting this sharp move, but we don't have it. It's not coming as yet, which means if you make a flat here and you go above that, it's still coming, right? This would just be another flat in the corrective structure. We're still going to have this. So buying at the top there is a bad idea. That line I have there is just to show me the top. It's not a buy setup, right? You notice. So we'll wait. We don't have any sell setup as well. Pound Swiss. Yep, sell setup is there. You can literally sell it, right? The sell setup should be under this low. If you didn't get that, wait for a flag. Let's make a flag. We're going to sell it. We have an idea where this is going back to, right? It's coming back to the bottom here, break this low, and then it's going to go. At some point, they will make a deeper correction. So don't chase the trade. Wait for a flag or a deeper correction, right? And then we're going to trade it back to this low. So if you look at the way this went down, it came here, make a deep correction, come, deeper correction, come, make correction, drop. So at some point, this will either make a flag and we sell, make a flag, we sell, but you're going to get a deeper correction before it drops. Right, so if you get a flag, we sell. If it starts to make a deeper correction, we'll wait for it. And Pong Yen. Okay, it actually dropped lower. We saw that yesterday, but we didn't sell this. Instead of we sell the Euro Yen because they had the same pattern. There was no sense selling this one because this had higher risk. The Euro Yen had low risk. It broke out of the structure. Now what you want is a flag here to sell, right? It didn't break the top, so that means we're still in consolidation, right? We're still in some kind of a consolidation at the top because we didn't break that up, which means even if they come back to this level, we'll still probably go back. But if you could get a sell set up to go back down, right? Let's see if we have anything right now. I think you only have 3 candles. That's not quite the flag as it. You have a few more than 3, so if you get a good, if you watch this level here, you might look for a sell setup. It's in the 15, what it looks like. It looks incomplete on the 15. So if you're putting the entry order, you have to be very careful. We didn't break this stop. That's important, right? So if you're putting the entry order, you have to keep a stop way above here for the completion of the pattern, which means it can come here, tag you, go back up. Pound New Zealand, you're getting a buy setup here, very short term. Because this is not going to go very high. See this? It's not going to go very high. Can it drop from there? It can. We don't have a setup for a sell. Punkat. We will look for a sell setup here. It's coming down. If you get it, don't sell the lows. Wait for a flag. If we get a flag, we'll sell it because I'm not sure that this is not coming down from this point, right? We can look at this as the flat with this being an expansion in the middle. 1, 2, 3, if this is an expansion in the middle. If we're looking at these 2 pieces as 1, 2, 3, then there's a chance that we'll make more correction in here before we drop to, get this piece here. So let's wait and see. It's downside. Sorry guys, it's downside. Don't chase it until you actually get a flag, right? Wait for the flag. That's very important. Aussie Yen. Well, you made 1, 2, 3. You get a correction here. Now look for a sell setup. Now we're getting a correction. We look for a sell setup here. we're at the bottom, but if they make a flag, we'll still sell it. We're very close to this low, right? See that, all the lows. So if you get a correction here, we'll still sell it. It's gonna break through the structure. If they start to go back up, we'll look for the buy. Because you've got this drop. You get a correction, you get a drop. You get a correction, you get a drop. Is it gonna be a correction or is it gonna be upside? Or do they consolidate here and drop? Those are the three options. So if they consolidate, we will sell, definitely. I don't see the upside as yet because there's no sharp move to the upside. You need a sharp impulse, you need a flag, and then we'll buy. Right now, you're getting more of this. So it's more, at the moment, more of a consolidation for sell. Aussie CAD. Same here, consolidation for a sell, short-term trade. You can take the trade, it's very short-term. Aussie Swiss. Consolidation for a sell, short-term trade. Right, because this should only come back to about this level, which is here, right? If they come back, they should come back to this level. Break this low, come back, break this low here, and then go back up, right? Because this is a big sideways move. So it's a very short-term trade. Go to the 15. I think we can take this trade. We can manage it if we get a good sell setup. It's too early, but let it form in the 1 hour. It's only a few candles. And Aussie New Zealand. Yeah, you're getting a buy setup here if you want. There's a buy setup forming here. Where would that take you? Let's see. Yep, to the top of this before it goes down back. Right, this is the big structure. Take you to the top there, and then two things can happen. It can break out or it can come back here. So take the trade and then we'll see which one it does, right? Look at this one. See, this came down here. There's a big correction. And then we actually came down here. Right, so we're actually in this big correction here now. And I'll move a big correction. Can it come back here? Yes, come back and then go, or go from here. So there's a trade, there's a buy setup. Go for the trade. Let's see where that takes you. It might go very slow. Just be aware of that. It's very slow sometimes. Cadian. No sell setup, wait for a buy. It might go a little lower, don't sell it. Swiss yen. We sold, you should be out of the trade already. Right in this 1, 2, 3 here, consolidation out of the trade. If you're not, pull back down, put it to positive. At least you should have it to break even, right? That was the sell setup we had yesterday. New Zealand yen. This was the sell setup, perfect trade, nice trade, basically, right? The first sell was here, we closed it, we put the entry under the low. If you're following me, you should have seen that. And now we were at the low. That's where we expected to go. Why do I have that line there? See why I have the line there? It's coming back to this level. Now, two things. If we consolidate here, we're selling, right? There would be an entry order like that to sell. There's no consolidation there. If this thing reverses back up, we'll look for a flag and we'll buy back all the way back to this stuff. Now, is it going to go in a straight line? We'll see. It can do 1, 2, 3. It can come back all the way here, do this, and then go. Because you see, this piece here wasn't quite a straight line going up. So it gives us that part. Now we're going to watch to see whether it breaks out. If you get a consolidation, we will take the trade regardless of what. Even if it becomes a break-even trade, we'll take it. Because if they drop now, then it drops straight through the pattern. New Zealand Swiss. I would call this a break-even, although it went. Because if we take this trade and we knew this was going to fall, you would have closed the trade here. And if you close the trade here, you put an entry here. But by rule, if it goes back there, you close, you take off that entry. Right? By our rule, we take off that entry, which means that you wouldn't get this part of the trade. The only way you get that part of the trade is if you were here when this happened in the 15 minutes. I don't think anybody was there. But if you were there, that would be 1 a.m. my time. I doubt anybody was trading that time. So now what do we do? Take that trade off. It's a good trade, but that's the rule. You follow the rules, save you from a lot of bad trades. You're going to miss 1 or 2 trades too. So now at this point, we have a lot of divergence. Where are we in the bigger structure? You know, it still looks a little downside, although we have to be careful now that we're at the low and we have divergence. See this internal divergence here? Put it in the 4 hour, you'll see that. This divergence here, see that? It's huge. So we have to be careful here. If we get a flag, we'll take it, but we'll take it as if that is the last move to the downside. Every single flag will treat like that. Right. New Zealand CAD. It's going down. We didn't call any trader, but there were trade setups. So if you took them, good for you. CAD Swiss. You're coming down. It's a sell setup. Watch it to this level. Go back on the 1 hour. You're getting a flag. Take this trade. We'll take it down to this level. I think all of you remember this. When we sold it, we took it off for break even. We should have got another trade. We didn't. Now it's making a flag. Actually, if you had an entry order here, close it for break even. Some of you might have had an entry order here. My traders, we closed it this morning in trading, just to remind you. Close it, put the entry here. And we're watching the break of this low. I'll put the target. We're watching the break of the low. We don't know how far it's going to go beyond that. Because then you're going to have a flat pattern. You're going to have this. It might go a little lower. It might come here. And then you're looking for upside. If it makes a bigger flag like this one, that would be perfect, right? Like this. That'd give you a better trade. After that, it could literally go back up. So where would it go back to? If it goes up back, we're going back to retest these stops, right? Coming back all the way back to this level. We'll see. It's a big sideways move. And the last one. Yeah, if you took this trade, close it. It's still going down right now, but close it. And but I don't even think you want to put an entry. Let it break out of the structure. Let it break out of the structure. Make another flag, then we'll sell. Don't take it on a Friday putting an entry there. It's not a good idea. It's not going as the way we expected. So basically, guys, that's it. So for all the traders who've been following me and you watch all my videos and you like them, please share them as much as you can. You need more people to see these videos. A reminder to all of you, if you want to join our group, send me a Skype message. Thank you.